Before we jump into this week's episode of the How to Film Weddings podcast, I want to let you know that the Complete Wedding Videography Course is coming back. We are going to be opening enrollment again on November the 14th. If you're not yet on the waitlist, all you need to do is head over to CompleteWeddingVideography.com, drop your name and email in there, and as soon as we have more announcements, as soon as the course goes online, we will let you know. The 3 modules, business, shooting, and editing, can definitely help you in your business. So if you want to get on the waitlist, head over to CompleteWeddingVideography.com. Now, let's head into this week's episode of the How to Film Weddings podcast.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the How to Film Weddings podcast. My name is John Bunn, and I'm joined, I said John Bunn? Yeah, I don't know why I said it that way, but I did. And I'm joined by my best good buddy, Nick Miller. And I'm really excited to chat with you today, Nick. We had an awesome guest. But first, what's up? What's happening in your world?
I think I know why you were speaking your name up a little bit. It's because the last few days we have spent with our team recording some really cool, fun stuff that we will let you know about in the future. And Jessica was with us. And she's from merry old England. And when they speak, they kind of go up a little bit at the end. So maybe you're just kind of channeling that inner Englishman or woman.
Tuesday, innit?
Yeah.
That's all I know. That's all I know so far.
Yeah.
Everybody say it with me. Tuesday, Tuesday, innit? Okay. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
I digress. It's a good week. Yes, I did get to hang out with you. It was beautiful. It was Oklahoma. Fun. We ate breakfast together. We got to snuggle. Austin was there. Blake was there. We got to hug each other and hold hands. One time we did. You know, just best good buddy stuff. Nick is blushing.
Oh, man. Anyway.
Where do you go from there?
So today we wanted to have our friend Lydia on. She is in central Illinois in the Springfield area, and she's doing really great things. And one of the things that she says has really, really helped her in our business is our course. And so we had her on to talk all things that she is doing, her journey, and then the importance of education and stuff. So she had some really great things to say, not about our course, but just some really good life things that you as a wedding videographer should really take to heart. So John, I think we should just jump into this week's episode and hear from Lydia.
All right. I think that's a splendid idea.
All right.
Let's go. All right. Well, welcome Lydia Stuemke from Lydia Stuemke Films to the How to Film Weddings podcast. Why don't you say hello and introduce yourself to the How to Film Weddings audience?
Sure. So, hi, I'm Lydia. I am a wedding videographer based in central Illinois, specifically in Springfield area. To give you an idea what Springfield is like, it's a population of about 115,000 people. So it's really not a huge, bustling area. I wasn't sure what to make of it getting into weddings, but it's actually been really fun. I got my start in videography shooting birth, actually, which surprises people. I really love birth still, but the on-call life was a little challenging for me. When I first started, we were living in Hawaii, and it was very easy to be on-call when you're trapped on an island anyway. When I moved back here, I really stopped enjoying it as much and backed out and was shooting photos for some wedding photographer friends, and I was really enjoying that. But I was at these weddings, and I was kind of picturing the video I could be making. They'd have a really emotional letter or a really emotional toast, and all I could do was be like, oh my gosh, I just wish I was shooting video of this. And my friends were all like, well, Lydia, logically, why don't you just start offering weddings? And I was like, no, I don't want to deal with bridezillas. I don't want to give up my Saturdays. That sounds so stressful. It's not for me. No, thank you. And they kind of kept gently pushing at me about it. One of them even wanted to form a partnership together. And finally I was like, okay, listen, I'm going to try it, but I really don't think I'm going to like it. So we'll try it and then we'll move on. So these friends of mine reached out to their clients for me. I think I decided in March that I was finally ready to try it. Shot my first wedding with one of my best friends in April, which was so great. And I left that wedding in April, and I was just absolutely hooked. And I think what kept me away from weddings was picturing these bridezillas and stress and couples losing sight of what really matters on their wedding day. But then after doing it, I realized that yes, some of that might still happen, but what I got to make was going to outlast any of that. And I just found it really fulfilling. So I told them, okay, you were right. I like it. And never looked back after that. So that was in March, April of 2019. So it's been 3 years.
Okay. So how long? So you did your first video in at a wedding in 2019. How long had you said you were doing? Were you doing birth video? Like
Yeah.
okay, so you're doing video for. So how long had you been like doing that sort of stuff?
So I have been doing video for like 7 years total. So
Okay.
I don't know, like 3-4 years before that. And I do feel like a lot of what I learned in the birth space did transfer over, because it's like you have to learn to think on your feet. You have to learn to anticipate what's next. Like you have to learn to work as a member of a team. So plus understanding the video settings and composition and exposure and all of that. So I do feel like that helped me kind of get off on a good start.
One thing that as you were telling this story, we sit here as wedding video people and, being like, oh, I could never like move into the corporate space or the commercial space or even like going higher up, into, motion pictures and stuff. And you're like, oh, I could never do that. I don't have that skill. But I think that in hearing what you're saying is like, no, I actually have a skill that I had learned a little bit, and I just needed to learn to adapt and apply it a little bit differently. So
and I feel like a lot of that stuff transfers over, because it's like even outside of like operating your camera and like going to work, like the concepts of marketing and running a business are very much the same. So it made the transition a lot easier than I would have expected.
Yeah. So, you said that you were nervous about, working with bridezillas or, just these different aspects of the video stuff. And you were like, yeah. And then you were like, oh, I actually filmed it and I loved it. What are some of the things that like stood out to you very early on that made you just be like, yep, this is what I want to do. This is what I really, really love.
I mean, you really just can't beat the emotion that comes through when you put video with like really good music. I mean, even when I was really bad at video, like I used to joke whenever I got my start, I was doing birth and like family film type stuff. And I used to joke that you could literally like put good music over like a video of a kid on the potty and it would make you tear up. And like, so even more so now, like having learned how to do that correctly and gotten better and better and better at it, like you just can't beat that emotion, honestly. Like I wish I could give you some like deep, meaningful answer, but like that feeling when you get it all to land just right and you like have chills, I mean, and it's not even your own like love story that you're telling. I mean, it's just, that is such a fulfilling moment. And like hearing people say like, oh my gosh, I don't even know this couple and I cried over it, because really I'm not making the video for the couple. Like, are they my client? Yes. But I really, when I'm picturing making the film, I'm picturing the generations that come behind them. So when I hear someone say, I don't even know this couple and I'm tearing up, that makes me know like, okay, I've done it, because the people watching this in the future, they may not know the couple either. And I want them to come away feeling like they do.
Yeah, that's really good. 2019, that's not that long ago. It's a quick 3 years, I guess. Yeah. So you're coming up on doing weddings. Why don't you tell us a little bit about like the business in 2019, getting into it? How did you, I mean, you said you were getting some referrals from some photographers, but maybe what did it look like in 2019 when you got going? And give us a little bit of the story of kind of how it's progressed, maybe with even what you were charging or that sort of a thing.
Yep. So when I first started, I knew shooting my first wedding that there's no way I'm going to be able to charge like thousands of dollars on my very first piece. Like it's a portfolio piece. Like it needs to be coming in at a lower price point. But I also knew from running a business that I needed to think about who my ideal client was, where they were hanging out, what kind of wedding they were having. And I knew that sometimes when you're at a portfolio building rate, it's difficult to maybe attract those clients that you're wanting to ultimately end up with. I felt really fortunate in my situation that I was close with the photographer friends that were at the caliber I wanted to be at. So instead of putting out like a broad model call, I relied heavily on them to reach out to their brides directly. They reached out to couples that they knew were going to be a really good fit for me and they knew were going to value me, and that, you know, that coming in at a cheaper price point was just like icing on the cake for them. But it really helped me come in at kind of a higher level and kind of come in on the floor I wanted to be on, instead of starting on ground floor and having to work my way up. So I started out cheap, but my portfolio, I feel like, started out feeling like I was a little higher end than I was, which was really, really, really helpful. And honestly, since then, I tease my friends, but I'm just here to ride on your coattails, guys, because they haven't stopped referring me. So I could probably go dark on social media at this point and still keep a fully booked calendar thanks to their referrals, which is, I feel really lucky to have that.
Yeah, that's a really smart plan. And if you're out there listening, it's like, Lydia built really great relationships with people and didn't just like start cold calling photographers, so using those connections was super helpful. You said you started out cheap, but you were still able to get the portfolio. You figured out first who your ideal, or like the kinds of couples you really wanted to work with, maybe not just ideal, but it's like, I know I want to do these kinds of weddings. That helped you determine, okay, what's my strategy next? How can I get into the room with some of these couples so I can do their weddings? I've got all these relationships. I'm going to ride the coattails, if you will. And it's a really smart plan. And so what was your first wedding with like your first referral from a photographer? Like, what did that, you said you were cheap, and I think that is a cool spot to stop by as you're building the portfolio. So they just kind of have to say like, well, this is like totally worth it to do. So what was kind of the first year or so? What were you charging?
I started out, my first wedding was $400, and I think I even rented gear. So I probably, with like all of my expenses, I probably didn't even make anything off of that first wedding. And I was okay with that at that point. As long as it was going to pay out down the road. So I just wanted to make sure if I was going to do something for cheap to free, I needed to be really strategic about where I was headed with that. I don't even remember at what point I started raising, but I was probably quickly in the like $1,800 range by wedding 5 or 6. I feel like it shot up pretty quickly. I mean, I do think it helped that I had some video skills. It wasn't like I just woke up one day and was like, oh, I'm going to shoot weddings. But I mean, there still is a big learning curve coming into weddings, even if you have video experience. Like I've worked for a production company even, and they're just like, if you can shoot weddings, you can basically handle anything, because there's just so much that goes on a wedding day that doesn't go on say like a controlled set. So
I like what you said about, riding coattails of your friends and that sort of stuff. Yep. And it's one of those things that, in the world that we live in, it really does matter who you know, not what you know. I mean, what you know obviously does matter, but you were like, by my 4th wedding, I was charging around $2,000. And I think most of us in here, or most of us listening out, they're like, it took me, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, to get up to that amount. And it's one of those things of, showing the stuff that you want to shoot. And you were really, really smart there with, okay, I'm going to go ahead and skip this level that I'm probably at because I don't have experience, and move my way up. That was, my wife had been doing wedding photos for 2 years, and I decided I wanted to do video, and I jumped onto her coattails, and and stuff took off that way. So that was really smart. And I know there's people out there that might not have connections, and they're just kind of starting cold. But if you're out there listening, and anyone, whether maybe a makeup artist, maybe a floor, like maybe it's not a photographer, but you're like, hey, I know this person. I have some sort of connection. Maybe ask them questions in peace and figure out a way that maybe you could offer your services, very discounted because you're just getting started, but maybe get a little higher up wedding because they don't have video stuff. So anyway.
I mean, and really, I feel like it's important to be out there making connections in the community. If you're a business owner, you really should be out there networking and making connections and building relationships. So the way that I was friends with these people, I really had moved to the area relatively recently. My husband had gotten out of the military, so I was in Hawaii, moved back to Springfield area. And if I hadn't been attending my local Rising Tide Society meetings, I wouldn't have even had these connections. So
that's really important. And like you're saying, like these connections, like they really help project you into where you're going and knowing who you want to serve. I think a lot of us are just like, I like the idea of making money. I'll take whatever I can get. And so like knowing, oh, I don't want to go do weddings in front of waterfalls, or I don't want to do weddings for people that are in ballrooms and they don't care about the wedding video and they just want to show off this or that or whatever. Like knowing who and what you want to do has probably helped you get to where you're going so much faster. You mentioned investing into going into like the Rising Tide Society. What role has like networking or even investing into education, what role has that played in you progressing here in your business in the last 3 years?
I mean, I don't think I would have a business if it weren't for networking and education. Truly. I mean, I mean that honestly. I mean, I would go after it, but like, I don't think I would be anywhere near where I am if it weren't for networking and education. I mean, if it weren't for that networking, I don't even think I ever would have thought to do weddings, truly, because they were the ones that were pushing me and pushing me and pushing me and being like, Lydia, try this, try this, try this. I probably would have chickened out if it weren't for my network kind of encouraging me and making sure that they could see that I needed to do this before I could see that I needed to do this. And I'm very grateful for that. And they still are there for me in that way. As far as education, I am a mom of 3 kids and I am very, very, very busy. They're 3 competitive athletes. I really don't have time to not invest in solid education. I don't have time for that. I mean, I love going to YouTube for things. I love Googling things, but at some point you have to recognize that you can either spend time or you can spend money. And like, I didn't have time to spend the time. I needed to invest to get there faster. So that is what I did.
Okay, and I know that How to Film Weddings and our course and stuff has been helped you a little bit. So when was that you really found How to Film Weddings, and how did that help you? And then what was it about the course, our course stuff that we offered that helped propel you in that?
So I don't remember. I think this was maybe the second time you guys had opened up the course that I finally got in. I watched it go by the first time, and I remember being like, oh, I should have done that. So the next time the doors opened, I hopped in, and I remember thinking like, oh, I feel like I have a decent understanding of wedding video. Like, I don't know, like if this is really the course for me. And when I got in there and saw that I could see, like, if I had a question in my mind, there was no more going to Google. I literally was going to check the course first and be like, oh, I wonder how they approach this. Let me see what they do. But far above that, the most valuable thing was like being able to watch videos of you guys doing your actual consult calls and talking to couples, because my consult calls and selling in a way that feels genuine and like from a place of service has, next to coming in with like good networking, that selling on consult calls has just propelled my profits up. So I don't know where the ceiling is for what I could charge, but I kind of just keep being able to make more. And it's largely because of what I've learned from watching the consult calls in this course.
Dude, that is, I love hearing that. I know that you at one point, what were you charging around the time when you joined the course, and then kind of not necessarily what's your highest booking, but like where are you kind of at now?
So I'm pretty sure I was either in like the $200 to $2,500 range would have been like a solid booking for me at the time I bought the course, which at the time I was excited about that, but it's like when you're booking at that rate, you almost have to be high volume. And I knew that high volume wedding videography was just not the fit for me. So I knew that if I was going to continue, I needed to be able to charge more. Now my average booking is 5 to 55, probably in that range, 5,500. There's definitely bookings that are going a decent amount higher than that at this point. And I mean, the ones where they've really like maxed out, well, I mean, not even maxed out, but gone with the higher packages, has been on the phone with me telling them exactly what they needed.
Yeah.
Music to my ears.
Yeah. That's such a powerful thing whenever you learn about setting yourself up as more of an authoritative, as a leader, as a guide, that sort of stuff, and just like talking them through these things. So whenever you make a suggestion or you say, this is why you need this, or even saying, hey, I know you're looking at this 12-hour package, but you actually only need 10 hours. Like doing that kind of stuff can really impact people.
Nick and I have to tell you about one of our favorite places to upload our wedding films, and that is Love Stories TV. Love Stories TV is one of the best free resources for us wedding filmmakers. The best part is they are bringing the couples to us. All we have to do is upload our films and we are good to go. Upload unlimited wedding films to your completely free business page. Setup is easy and your films can be live in just minutes. Now is the perfect time to start uploading to Love Stories TV. So head on over to howtofilmweddings.com/lovestoriestv to check out all of the details and see how Love Stories TV is giving away $10,000 in cash to wedding filmmakers just like you. That's howtofilmweddings.com/lovestoriestv to start uploading and connecting with the right couples today.
Hi, it's Michael from Redditor. We want to thank everyone for the incredible support we've received since sponsoring How to Film Weddings. Yes, we've had some growing pains, but we've had far more wins. And we're doing something that's never been done. We're a remote team of over 50 editors in 10 countries. I often joke that we're as much a logistics company as we are a creative company. Right now, demand is off the charts. And we don't just say yes to everyone and scramble to figure it out. That's why we're asking you to help us help more of you. In short, we're looking for more talented wedditors, part-time or full-time, work from where you want, when you want, as long as you hit deadlines and deliver quality. It's a chance to get paid while growing as an editor. Our project managers work with you, explaining why something feels right or doesn't, because there's always a reason. If you're interested, we'd love to hear from you. Go to wedditor.com/editor and fill out our form.
So, you've gone, in a couple of years, you've doubled your prices plus some, maybe even gone up more than that. And he said that, consultations are a big part of that. What are some things that maybe you would recommend for people with their consultations and stuff, if people are like, or maybe they're not doing it, or what, do you have anything that you've picked up that you would really urge them to do?
So, you've already heard me on this call, lose my train of thought and be like, what was the question? I don't even like being on the phone. I am not a phone girl at all. And I am to the point now where I am pumped to get on the phone with somebody, because I know that is the best way for me to help them. So I think a lot of it was a mindset shift. I have to do this phone call and I have to sell to them, and that's really uncomfortable, versus now feeling I get to do this phone call. I get to find out if we're a good fit for each other. I get to find out what my clients need and help them to get there. And so switching how I thought about it has been really helpful. And I don't think I grasped how you could, what selling from a place of service looked like until I watched you guys sell from a place of service.
Yeah, I love that. And that's one thing I think that, when Nick and I were putting together the course, it was we could record some of our consultation calls. And I don't know, I've done thousands of consultation calls in the last 16 years. And just being instead of trying to just break this down and teach, what if we just show people? And I just kept on adding more and more calls and Zoom calls and recording phone calls, and people oh my gosh, please don't stop doing these. So we keep adding those kinds of things in there. And it's so rewarding, as Nick and I do this stuff, have these courses, to be able to see people, because it elevates the entire industry. And that's what's cool. It's you're in Central Illinois, the industry is elevated because you're there. And it's maybe you're listening and you're in Idaho or New Mexico or in Hawaii. Bummer you're not there anymore. But, and it's the industry is elevated because of this. And you're not being a sleazy salesperson. And so I guess the question of you is what do you have to say to somebody that's out there that maybe feels I don't want to, sales is not my thing. I don't want to get on the phone. I don't want to have a consultation. I don't want to talk to people. You said that you're almost excited What do you mean by that? Like, what would you say to somebody out there that's maybe in year 1 or 2 that's just like, man, I'm charging $2,000. I'd love to charge $5,000-6,000. What would you say to them?
I mean, I think it all goes back to the mindset thing. Both things are hard. Like you can undercharge and like work your butt off and be like, turning around like 40, 50 weddings a year. Or you can push yourself to grow and like learn how to raise your prices, sell in a way that feels good to you. Like you just have to choose your hard. Choose which one's going to be hard. And yeah, consult calls, until you get the hang of them, they are hard. But like the more you do them, the easier they get. And honestly, watching someone else do them kind of gets you a few steps ahead of the game, because you're not like, oh, what do I talk about? Like I don't want my consult calls to feel like an inquisition. And I knew that going in. I didn't want to just be like, what's your date? What's your venue? Like, what's your name? What's your mom? Like, I don't want them to just answer a list of questions. I want it to feel like building a relationship. And I very much felt like watching you guys helped me kind of get where I wanted to go. So even now I have like a little Apple Note where I like have written out what I want to ask them and the things I want to talk about. And then like whenever I come to their wedding and they're like shocked that I remember their dog's name, I have no memory. I didn't remember their dog's name. I wrote it down, and then I'm able to bring it up at the wedding. So I think that consults really give me a chance to build relationship with my clients that I wouldn't have had the opportunity to do if I didn't hop on the phone with them.
All right. So as you've been, talking, Lydia, you're talking about the importance of investing in, relationships with other people and networking and in courses and that sort of stuff. And, as we're on the heels of the Complete Wedding Videography course being launched again and people able to purchase that, what do you say to people that are maybe on the fence or like, is it worth it? Is it worth the expense? That sort of stuff. How would you communicate your experience or your thoughts on purchasing a course like this?
For sure. So I said earlier that I passed up the first time the doors were open on this course. And I remember thinking like, I don't have time to take a course. Like, when would I possibly do this? I have a habit of buying courses and not taking them. So I was worried that was going to happen to me, that I was going to take it or buy it and not have time to take it. And I think I finally, after I missed the doors for the first time, I had this revelation that truly I don't have time to not take a course. If I want my business to grow quickly and I don't have time to go out and learn it on my own, the other option is to take a course or hire someone to teach me and get me there faster. There wasn't really any other option. It's time or money. So when I hear people say like, oh, I don't have time for this, I don't have time to do that, I'm like, red flashing light here. Like, that is a good indicator that a course is probably a really good fit for you. Like, and the way the course is set up too, I feel like is honestly ideal for busy people. Like, you don't have to watch the course from start to finish. You can literally go through and be like, I'm most interested in consults right now. I'm about to hop on a consult call. Let me look at this. Oh, like, wow, I'm really struggling with how to cut up my music right now. Let me go in the course and look at this. It's like, it's the ideal. We're all busy. So I just feel like this course saved me time.
Yeah, that's a powerful thing about it is, we set it up in a way and we wanted to teach everything that we could. And we like to think like, it's like we wear a badge on our sleeve or something that, I had to learn the hard way to do this. I messed up and I screwed this up or whatever. And like, we have it set up where like, you don't have to do that. Yes, you're going to stumble along the way. But if we can cut out, 2 years or whatever, you're here in year 3. And you said that, this year you've been like 5,000, 5,500 or something. Like, I was in year 6 before I got to that level. Yep. And so we're just helping you propel you into that. And so, when you found the course, you were like 2,000, 2,500. What's just asking here, what's been like your top wedding that you have booked, in the entirety of your business?
I have 2 weddings booked for next year that have crossed over the $7,000 mark.
It's incredible.
Yes,
it's incredible.
That's awesome.
And honestly, and those people were on the phone with me, and it was almost like they were asking me to sell to them. They weren't saying those words, but they were asking me, like, what do you think we need? And I was able to tell them in a genuine way, like, hey, I offer this, and it's like, here's an example. For example, I offer like an archival edit, a raw footage edit. So I tell the story of like what that looks like. And like I say like, oh yeah, like I have 5 minutes straight of this great grandma dancing with the bride and the groom on their wedding day. And like, so for somebody that wants those little moments but wants to watch 5 straight minutes of it, an archival edit is great for you. And they're like, oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. I have to have it. But that's how genuine all the selling feels. So they really are like basically asking me like, hey, will you sell this to me? Like, what do I need?
That's Sounds like a perfect scenario, and it sounds like you're doing it right. And I just want to say thanks so much for taking the time to come on and like inspire people. Like your story is inspiring. It's so cool to see the How to Film Weddings community like taking courses, investing into themselves, whether it's our course, other people's courses. Like we're a huge like proponent of all the things that are going to help people elevate the industry. So thank you so much, Lydia, for taking the time. Before you head off, or we head off today, where's a good place for people to find you? Follow you on Instagram, your website. Maybe tell us where people can find you.
So my website is lydiastuemke.com. You can probably find the spelling for that in the show notes. And then my Instagram is Lydia Stuemke Films. I'm pretty active on Instagram. So if you do follow me from there, say hi. I love to talk to people.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show today.
Sure.
All right. Thank you so much, Lydia, for taking the time to be on the podcast. I think it's super awesome, Nick, whenever we get to hear from actual students that have invested their dollars. We do not take it lightly when people are thinking about investing into our course, investing into courses, and we want to make sure it's really worth the money. And we want to make sure that you can see the value in what it is that we have. So if you don't know about our course, just quickly, it's 3 modules all about business, shooting, and editing. We break it all down for you. It's called the Complete Wedding Videography Course. It comes out next week. And that's what we wanted it to be, the Complete Wedding Videography Course. Outside of those 3 modules, Nick, we have added bonuses, like Lydia was saying. We've recorded real consultation calls so you can learn from us. And we've also filmed behind the scenes at weddings, so you can literally watch and learn. I know that that's how I like to learn the most. And then Nick, you did something special where you actually walked through an entire edit.
Yep. I sat down and I recorded myself from start to end, editing a film, everything from organizing and culling and music selection to color and uploading and sound design and all of that stuff. So it's a full, like that's almost like a full course in and of itself within our course on just editing a film. And right now, if you head over to CompleteWeddingVideography.com, you can actually download a free section from the course. You can get a free behind the scenes section, so a little preview of that. And then we're also giving away our wedding day questionnaire for free. And that the website is CompleteWeddingVideography.com. So you can grab those things, and then you will also be notified as soon as the course goes online for enrollment, which is happening on November the 14th.
And to close up, we only open this course 2 times a year. We like to have almost like a new class of students all join at the same time so you can build momentum with each other. And just so we can make sure we can support you on your journey and answer your questions in the private Facebook group. Make sure that you can download all the free templates that we have. Just like we want to make sure that we're serving you well. And as we kind of are heading towards the end of the year, moving into, I guess now, Nick, our 5th year of podcasting. We just want to make sure that we are providing the best quality for you so you can level up your business like Lydia has been able to do and be able to charge more and be able to elevate the industry. And that's why we do what we do. So a huge thanks from myself and from Nick for being part of this, still listening to this. Thank you for watching on YouTube if you are. YouTube. I still have my British accent. YouTube, isn't it? Okay, sorry. I'm an idiot. Anyway, thank you all so much for tuning in. Until next time, we'll see ya.
See ya. Are you looking for a better way to deliver your wedding films? Look no further. Our friends over at Vidflow provide the most flexible video delivery solution on the market. Vidflow is pay per use with no large upfront costs or commitment, and you can cancel at any time. Vidflow offers a premium viewing experience for all of your couples, accessible on mobile, tablet, desktop, as well as their very own suite of TV apps. Each project comes with 10 years of hosting and an experience for your couples that will blow them away. Head over to howtofilmweddings.com/vidflow, where you can save 20% off a yearly business membership by using promo code HTFW20. Stop delivering your films the old-fashioned way.
Give your couples something to rave about by using Vidflow.